first party was crazy. There's a camera at the foot of the bed. That must have been a pretty wild night. 10:30. I really wanted to lie in. February. But all the great January movies I missed, like... There actually is movies I want to see in February. There's no time to waste, I gotta go fast! Pretty clear what movie I'm talking about. Okay, I'll give you a few more hints. It's the movie that the studio tried to change at the last minute. No, it's the movie where the lead character is clearly trying to be Deadpool. Oh, come on, I put all these hints in the videos. I'm like, how did you get these? Okay, I'm reviewing Birds of Prey. Here we go. Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous... Use this title instead. Okay, Harley Quinn and the Birds of... Tell them Harley Quinn is in the movie. Harley Quinn. Okay, Harley Quinn is in this movie. Go see this movie. Did you mention Harley Quinn?
That's the guy who fucks bats.
He doesn't do that!
Jim. But before finding out if I like Birds of Prey, why don't you give this video a like? I feel so dirty. I'm not getting dressed for these movies. Alright, Birds of Prey. What I find kind of strange about this movie is that some of the behind the scenes stuff and the context of it is a lot more interesting than the movie itself. The movie is rated R, and it comes out a couple months after Joker, which is rated R, just made $1 billion. And it's also a sort of a sequel to Suicide Squad, and it's also marketed as Birds of Prey, maybe not anymore. But it's kind of strange, because as much as we go on about R-rated films, I didn't think it needed to be rated R. It's through violent moments, but it kind of feels like it doesn't need to be R, and it's rare for me to say that. I mean, it's great that they had the creative freedom to go there if they needed to, but it doesn't really feel necessary. As far as it being a Birds of Prey movie, not really. And as far as being a Suicide Squad sequel, thankfully it abandons a lot of that stuff. And then we have the fact that this movie is, or I guess was, depending on what you believe, called Birds of Prey. And that's kind of a weird choice anyway, because in no way is this a Birds of Prey movie. They're in it, but this is very much the Harley Quinn movie, and why you wouldn't put your marketable character at the forefront, I don't know. As much as I can see they're going to be very quirky with their title of Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, I think I got that right. Give me a tick if I got that right. It doesn't feel necessary. It feels like kind of forced quirkiness, and that's a shame, because when the movie is being itself, it's actually a very enjoyable movie. I don't know how much I should say about the plot, mainly because it's a really basic plot. Cassandra Cain has a diamond, the Birds of Prey and Harley Quinn get involved for various reasons, and Black Mask wants the diamond back. That's it. Not really much to say, as predictable and stereotypical, I guess, as you would expect. And I don't know if it's because they want to hide some of how basic it is that they mess around with the structure of the plot, which means that since Harley is narrating the movie, we get a lot of a scene will play out and then it'll stop and Harley Quinn will be like, oh, I forgot to introduce this character that's in this scene, so we need to go back. And it's not really necessary. It has the unfortunate side effect of the movie just starting and stopping. It's like, here's this character. Okay, forget that scene, now we need to go back and do an origin for that character. Here's how they get involved. And because of that, we also see a lot of scenes repeated, which can add to some of the monotony of the movie. Now, I said they might be doing this to hide some of the plot. I think they could be doing it to try and be more like Deadpool, like the first Deadpool movie. It was just, here's Deadpool, he's on a highway, oh, here's how he got to here, here's who Deadpool is, etc, etc. But the problem with that is that Deadpool was focusing on one character, really. It was, here's how we got to know Deadpool, and we basically needed an origin for Deadpool because it was the first movie. We already know Harley Quinn, so giving us these kind of bits of information giving us some very brief origins of characters that are barely in the movie feels a bit unnecessary, and it kind of drags the movie down. Especially in the second act, I found it to be a bit slow. But thankfully, because of that narrative, when everything comes together in the third act, it makes for a very exciting finale. Harley Quinn is a character I can kind of take or leave. In small bursts, I think she's fine, or as a supporting character. But a lot of the time, she's always way in your face, and she's really been shoved down our throats in the last couple of years. So I'm glad to say I actually enjoyed this film. Margot Robbie is a perfect Harley Quinn, at least in this version. And I know a lot of people didn't necessarily feel that way in Suicide Squad. I think she does a great job here. She's funny and entertaining, but she does have a bit of depth to her. They keep the traits of character, they keep her kind of weird manic energy and quirkiness, but also give her a little bit of depth and a personality that makes us root for the character at times. And what's also quite good is they don't make her an out and out good guy like a lot of people feared. She still clearly has a bit of badness in her, but not at the expense of being a decent character to watch and to root for at times. And then I would go on about the other characters, but it's kind of, this is really the Harley Quinn show. We go into Black Mask, the villain played by Ewan McGregor. I thought this was a great portrayal that I think a lot of people, if you're a really hardcore comic fan, you might not like this. Personally, I found Black Mask to always just be fine. He's a fine character. You know, there's a lot of Gotham villains that are basically just, oh, they're just the leader of a gang. And they have a cool feature. Black Mask has a black mask. I mean, if your most defining characteristic is what you're wearing, you're probably not a very good character. So anyone clamouring for saying this is doing the character a disservice, personally, doesn't really bother me. This is a very different portrayal than what I expected, but it's also incredibly entertaining. He's this kind of flamboyant, over-the-top spoiled brat. Ewan McGregor is really fun. He's clearly has no intention of playing it straight and is just having a blast in the role. There's parts in the movie where he just freaks out and starts swearing, which I thought was hilarious, and just some of the highlights of the movie are his scenes. His relationship with Zaz has also been a subject to some controversy. I thought their dynamic was very fun. It kept the movie interesting. This isn't a light comic book movie. It's just a bit of entertainment. Don't take it too seriously, and you will get the most out of it. And then we come to the Birds of Prey, the eponymous Birds of Prey, who are barely in the movie, really. It sort of works loosely as a kind of origin story for the Birds of Prey, so we're kind of building up towards it. Cassandra Cain, I didn't find particularly interesting, as much as she is pivotal to the plot. She's just kind of there. It was a fine performance, you know, nothing against it or anything, but it was fine. The rest of the birds, Renee Montoya, played by Rosie Perez, yeah, she's fine. It's kind of weird because they point out a lot of the problems that you would have played off for comedy, so I didn't have too much of an issue. Like, she's this kind of hard-boiled cop, and all her lines are like 80s cop lines, and they basically break the fourth wall and mention that, so you can't really criticize it, I guess. It kind of feels like they're just ducking criticism by acknowledging it, rather than making it good. But I don't know, it kind of suited the tone the movie was going for. Journey Smollett Bell plays Black Canary. I didn't think this was a great performance. It was just a very kind of a stonewall performance. She didn't really give us anything to latch onto, really. I liked the look and the character design. She's got some good action moments, but I didn't feel that the action or the performance was anything special, and I didn't feel like the character itself was anything interesting. We've seen this character in quite a bit of media as of late, and it's not really anything special here. It doesn't feel like a character that really is very interesting, judging off this depiction, which is a shame. We have Mary Elizabeth Winstead as the Huntress. This is actually, out of all of the characters aside from Black Mask and Harley, this is the one I thought was actually really good. I'm a big Mary Elizabeth Winstead fan, so maybe that affected it. But the performance of the Huntress, I thought her origin story was cool and interesting. And because of the side effects of her origin story, you know, growing into being this badass kind of ass-kicking kind of assassin, gives her like these weird like human interactions. I don't know how to describe it, but she just doesn't really connect with people, and it gives her some really funny moments. I'm not sure, should I be laughing at a character that's that kind of, you know, guarded and that unaware of how to deal with human moments? But I just found it to be quite entertaining, and I thought that genuinely a lot of the characters felt like they were trying to be a badass, but this character was just badass. There was just moments where you're like, Jesus. Like, it felt kind of like if you had to do a tier list of the Birds of Prey, it's like they're all kind of here, and then Huntress is like way up here. She like put the rest of them to shame. So definitely one of the highlights of the Birds of Prey was Mary Elizabeth Winstead as the Huntress. I haven't talked about the action in this movie yet, but this is some of the best action in any comic book movie. And at the time I was thinking, this is a lot like John Wick. And then I remembered, they got the guy who did John Wick to come back and do the action scenes. And because of that, the action is fantastic. Some of the hand-to-hand scenes are fantastic. There's a scene where Harley goes into a police department, which is just so perfect for the character, but it's also a really exciting scene that's really funny and also really entertaining. There's a chase scene. Brilliant. I mean, when this movie just focuses on the action instead of the story, it excels. I would say some of the best action scenes in a comic book movie might be in this movie. Even though they're not big and bombastic, they're really creative and really well done. That's pretty much all I have to say about Birds of Prey, which is kind of a shame. It has a fantastic lead performance, has some really good supporting ones. The cinematography is good. I like the colour palette and the quirky style of the movie. The action scenes are very creative and better than a lot of the comic book movies we get nowadays. And it also has a strong feminine voice without it being, armchair feminism, for lack of a better term. I'm not the person to talk about this. But it's kind of a shame that what we have is just a decent, fun movie. There's not any depth to it. You're probably not going to go see it multiple times. Chances are you might watch it someday and have fun with it. It's perfectly entertaining in the same way that vanilla ice cream is a nice flavour of ice cream. I will say I think the film probably deserves better. It's underperforming quite severely now, which is a shame because I do think it's more original than a lot of the movies we're getting as in the comic book movie genre. It's entertaining, it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of films I can't say that about. Why is it failing? Why is it underperforming? I mean, you could point to a lot of aspects, possibly poorly marketed. Is this a sequel to Suicide Squad? Is this a Harley Quinn movie? Is it the Birds of Prey movie? Why is it R-rated when a lot of people that would want to see it now can't see it because of its rating? Did it need to be R-rated? These are all questions that I'm sure the suits at Warner Brothers are asking, not some guy in his pajamas. Oh, pudding! Okay, I'll stop fucking about and review Sonic.
It's Sonic like you've never seen him before. I mean, you have seen him before. Back when there was something wrong with his face!
Sonic. I mean, everyone knows Sonic. He's the Sonic the Hedgehog, of course. Everyone's played a bit of Sonic at some point. I can't say I'm a massive Sonic fan. Certainly wasn't necessarily looking forward to this movie, but I had a pretty good time with it. So Sonic, the alien, is sent to Earth. He's hiding out in Green Hills, but his cover is blown. People find out that he exists, most notably the government, which means that he comes onto the crosshairs of Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey. I guess most importantly is that the Sonic movie nails Sonic. And they pretty much do. I think first we should talk about the effects, which at one point were widely mocked. He looks great in this. It's hard to believe that they ever agreed to the original design we saw, because, quite frankly, I don't think this movie could have worked with it. There's moments where we have to rely on Sonic being cute or relatable. I don't know how that would have worked with the original graphics. I'm kind of curious to see, to be honest. But yeah, it's good. Ben Schwartz does the voice. Very good, very funny at times. A little bit annoying at times as well. But we have to remember this is a movie for kids. Basically, Sonic is kind of Deadpool-y as well. The same as Harley Quinn when I talked about Birds of Prey. He's kind of a bit meta. He's kind of addressing things. He's constantly talking and narrating things around him, which can get a little bit annoying. Our other characters, we have Tom, played by James Marsden. He's like this small town cop, with the basic idea being, he's wants to get out of this small town of Green Hills. He wants to go to San Francisco and save lives. We've seen this arc a million times. I'm sure you know where it ends and how it ends. Yeah, I actually think with a lesser actor, the dynamic between Sonic and the police officer wouldn't have worked. But James Marsden was fantastic in this. He's entertaining. He's quite funny as well at times. Very charming. I wish he was in more stuff, man. He kind of shows up like once every 2 years and you're like, hey, James Marsden. He's good in this. I quite enjoyed him. I think he really worked in this film. And of course, the person seeing the show that we keep hearing about, Jim Carrey is Dr. Robotnik, who, I mean, this is straight up 90s comedy Carrey. It's really funny. I will say the biggest shame is that a lot of the good stuff is in the trailers for him. But he's just chewing the scenery, so over the top, really enjoyable. I wish I hadn't seen the trailers for this, but he's just messing it up, kind of slapsticky, funny facial expressions, just really entertaining, but also threatening at times when you need him to be. He's really good as Dr. Robotnik, which is a weird choice, but clearly an inspired one. That's kind of it for the human characters. There's Tom's girlfriend, who doesn't really have much to do. Tom's girlfriend's sister, who's kind of entertaining. Um, Neil McDonough is in this for about 2 seconds. Like, I think it's in the first trailer they showed him. That's as much as he's in the movie. I was waiting for like a plot or for him to come back, but no, he's just gone. See you around, Dum Dum Dugan. And then it's pretty straightforward. This is kind of a road trip movie with these two characters. It's funny seeing Sonic's kind of perspective on the world because he has been kind of sheltered and hasn't seen a lot of things. That's where a lot of the comedy comes from. And also them kind of bonding between Sonic and Tom, which is quite sweet. I do think there's some moments that it really, really works. I'm so glad I was actually thinking of this at the time. I was expecting this kind of plot of like, you know, the standard plot where it's like, the wife is like, I want to have kids. And it's like, I don't want kids. And then he has something that either is a kid or is like a kid. And because of that, he's like, you know what, honey? Let's have kids. Thankfully, we don't get that plot. But we get something like it, which is kind of about friendship, which, yeah, is fine. And also being happy where you are. It's standard stuff. But remember, kids movie. And we really do need to remember that. This is a kids movie. As much as I saw, as much as a lot of grown-ups who grew up with Sonic in the 80s thought, this is a movie for kids. And you'll definitely remember it because sometimes there's jokes where you're just like, whereas a kid would absolutely love it. So you need to keep that in mind. This is a kids movie. The humour is aimed at kids. The tropes are aimed at kids. And sure, there's kids movies that we can all enjoy and that are amazing. You know, things like Into the Spider-Verse, some of the Pixar movies, Lego movie, things that have a bit more depth that we can all enjoy and find very seamless. This isn't that. This is a kids film that's very entertaining. And I found it entertaining as an adult, but as a kid, I'm sure you would absolutely love it. The movie definitely feels like a very, very small movie. I don't think that's a bad thing. Of course, this is a Sonic movie. We don't need massive world-ending stakes. It's certainly not right off the bat for the first film, because this basically is a Sonic origin film. The effects are decent. Sonic looks good. Dr. Robotnik's robots and some of the other things look quite good. The action is fine. It's nothing original. Again, it's reminding me a lot of Quicksilver, the scenes in Days of Future Past. Also reminds me a little bit of Deadpool. Yeah, there's nothing original about it, but it is quite funny. And some of the moments where it shows that bit of originality, it does something you don't expect, is when you're going to enjoy it. The problem is that, of course, the audience for this are younger kids, so a lot of it is not going for anything original. It's going for let your kids enjoy it. For what it is, though, this film is pretty entertaining. I mean, what's good is that the film clearly knows what it is. It's a kids' film about Sonic. There's some humour in there that'll appeal to everyone. It is pretty fun. But it also knows not to overstay its welcome. This is a very breezily length film. The pacing is fast. Of course, it's a Sonic movie. I think it's fast. It never really stops. There's no moment where I'm like, oh, this is slow, you could have cut this. It's a tightly cut film. The action is decent. It works as a setup for more of these films, which, surprisingly, I'm looking forward to seeing. There's a post-credit scene. As soon as I heard there was a post-credit scene, I figured out what it was. I think most Sonic fans will. Which makes it, worth sitting through. Because, surprisingly, I'm happy to see more Sonic films. And given how well this is done and how cheaply made it was, I'm sure we're going to get them. What did you think of the films? Let me know in the comments below if you saw them. I hope you liked them the same way that I hope you liked this video. And if you did, please give me an old thumb there so I know you were here. If you want to see more of what I'm doing, reviews, countdowns, trailer breakdowns, and video series, be sure to press that subscribe button because there's a lot more stuff coming up soon. Or you can check out my podcast on Spotify, the Pop Cult Pod, because I cannot spell cult. Tell you. I ended up with a Harley Quinn mask, and this is literally the only opportunity I have to use it, and I have nothing to do with it. Brilliant. Now I'm just a weirdo who owns a Harley Quinn mask.